Yes, Reds. How are we? We are back. Me, Rick, and Andy. The three are here. Got quite a few little bits to go through, boys. So I'll quickly go around the room. Andy, you're back. How are we?
I'm good, mate. You? How's everyone going? Buzzing with Wirtz. I hadn't spoke to you since he's been announced. So, come on. Buzzing with that.
Being a Liverpool fan right now, mate, it's a different level, isn't it, compared to some of the seasons or summers windows that we've had, and it's just a whole different level. Rick, how are we?
Yeah, not bad. Can't wait for the Kerkez full announcement. He passed his medical. So yeah, just waiting for that confirmation. But yeah, what a time to be a Red, isn't it? I mean, we spoke off air, like, once this deal's done, it's a 10 out of 10 window already, and whatever comes in on top after that, get some outgoings, and then we'll go on the attack for a forward-looking player.
Well, yeah, we'll touch on that towards the end of the show, Rick, because we've got a few things to go through. Look, I'll just go through the comments. If you haven't already, smash the like and subscribe. There's 11 already watching, so if you can help us out, we're obviously on the road to 2,000 subs. Don't forget to smash the subs. There he is, second again, ole. This time he's first on the chat, so that's a change. Things do change. It's Tatty lad. Good evening, gents. How are you? 7 o'clock. Wait. I think that will be something. But we'll go into it shortly. Big up, Ali. Connor. Mr. Kex. And here he is, Mr. Burke. How are we? The doctor, the expert in all fields. Fucking hell. Right then, let's start off. Andy, I'm going to come to you. Nat Phillips finally got his sale out of the club. It's a deal that Liverpool have been trying to do for quite some time. Richard Hughes conceived to sell sand to the Arabs, ice to the Eskimos, but he's obviously got Liverpool £3 million for Nat Phillips of West Brom. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, firstly, what a legend, isn't it? The season that we were struggling, obviously, defensively, I thought he was an absolute warrior. You know, put his heart on the line, body on the line, and we can only thank him for that. I was speaking to my daughter yesterday. She was like, "Dad, is Nat Phillips still at Liverpool?" Because I've just seen we've sold him, and I started laughing because it's like being an age, isn't it? Since we've sort of tried to offload him, he's been on loan at a few clubs. So listen, he's finally got his move where he's going to be settled at a club, and I think West Brom have got a good player there because you know he's been playing in the Championship. You know, he'll be strong. He'll be strong in that division, and I think he'll make them quite solid. And all I could say is, I'm sure on behalf of all the Liverpool fans, not one person's got a bad thing to say about Big Bad Nat. You know, like I said, going back to what I said, the season when we had our whole defensive line out, we ended up finishing third that year, and it was also a big thanks to him as well. You know, I thought he was excellent whenever he was called upon. So good luck to Big Bad Nat, mate.
Well, this is it, mate. When he was told to, you know, step in, he'd never done anything bad, mate. He was solid for Liverpool, and had the picture at the end of the season where he's got the fucking the bandage on his head with Reece Williams, mate. That was like fucking put it in the Louvre. Rick, what was your thoughts on this deal? Because I think it's good that we've even got any money out of him, to be honest. I don't even think the club anticipated getting money.
No, I mean, he's deserved a permanent move, like, for what he's done for us. I mean, that's like, you've been saying that season where he come in with Williams, Cruyff turning Zlatan at the San Siro in the Champions League in the penalty area. I mean, fair play to the lad. He got us top four that season. Deserves a chance to go play as a starting centre half somewhere for his own career. I mean, $3 million for 1 year left on his contract. I mean, it's masterstroke from Hughes, really. But yeah, no, good luck to him. I'm sure one of the Gallagher brothers will go watch him week in, week out where he's gone, because we all know why. But yeah, it's a good move for him. Fair play.
Yeah, no, I think it really is. And look, he'll go with a lot of Liverpool's, you know, best regards. And he's been a top player for us when we called upon him. And that's all you can ask, isn't it? You know, some players know that they're not going to be at the top table in the squad. And he's never complained once. And I think that's one of the best things about Nat. And, you know, I hopefully he does the best he can. But we'll move on. And if you haven't already, also smash the like and subscribe. There's now 35 in the chat. Right, Andy. Milos Kerkez is imminent to come out as a Liverpool player. The medicals are passed. I'd say roughly within the next hour, it should be out there. That's just my estimation at the minute. We'll find out shortly. But this is a serious signing, and I don't think people really understand what they're getting. You know, Liverpool, like Florian Wirtz, you mentioned it before, they're two of City's top targets. Liverpool have took them off them. It's a serious statement signing from Liverpool. You've got to remember, this is now the second most expensive defender that the club have done. So Liverpool must see some serious stats behind the scenes from this player.
Yeah, definitely, mate. I mean, we're getting sort of like a newborn Robbo when he first come to the club. All that energy, and I think he's got a lot more quality on the ball. And this is no disrespect to Robbo. I love Robbo. You know, we all loved the legend that is Andy Robertson. But you know, when you watch this guy, the way he delivers a football, you know, he's good at running with the ball at his feet as well. He's tenacious. I said it on the last show I was on. The way we've acted in this window, we've gone out and bought a very exciting right back in Frimpong for a brilliant price. We've bought one of the best 10s in world football, and I believe we've bought the best left back in the Premier League last year.
Yeah, I agree.
And he's up there amongst the best in Europe as well. I'd say Mendes at PSG probably just ahead of him, but he's still young, and I think it's a fantastic move. It's really going to help us a lot next year. You know, just that extra outlet on the wing, crosses coming into the box. I'm really excited about it. I mean, me and you have been speaking about this player for a few months now, Ben, when it was first rumoured he was going to come. And I can't think of a better left back for us to have bought in, to be honest, to replace Andy Robbo.
Yeah, do you know, as you've just said there, mate, we spoke a lot about it. I think, you know, people were getting a bit annoyed with them as to flirting online type of shit, do you know what I mean? But ultimately, the rumours are the deal's been done for a long, long time. It's just been a few little T's and C's that they've been sorting out. But one thing's for sure is this guy never missed a league game last year for Bournemouth. And I know he was only having like one game a week, but this is the type of player that's going to flourish, especially going in the Champions League. What a feeling he must be having today, do you know what I mean? Certainly for him and the family, do you know what I mean? He must be, but certainly his dad, do you know what I mean? I can't tell you which medical's going on right now. Him or his fucking half fella, do you know what I mean? But like you've just said, Andy, this kid automatically goes in Liverpool's team, doesn't he? Yeah,
100%. He's going to be our first choice left back, mate. And again, something that I mentioned before on Twitter and on this show before, I think it'll really enable Arne to play that system that he loves with the two fullbacks bombing forward and getting back into shape when we've lost the ball in transition. He's really quick. You know, he's so tenacious in the tackle. I watched a couple of comps with him. I don't watch comps just to know what a player is all about. I just like watching to study more. You know, the game he had against Saka, he caused him a lot of problems, didn't he? Saka didn't really cause Kerkez that many problems. You know, he was on him, you know, sniping into some tackles and stuff like that. So, yeah, and this kid, you could just see straight away he's got so much hunger to succeed at the top level. And it's just another fantastic signing for the club, mate. I'm so pleased with what we've done in this window so far with these three players. And obviously we're going to get onto it a bit later on, but you can't complain about these three that have come in, and this one's going to be confirmed soon, and it's consolidate a great start to the window.
Yeah, look, you've just summed it up perfectly, Rick. Obviously, we spoke briefly, didn't we, the other night, with regards to Kerkez. He's 21 and he's already this good, Rick. These type of players, especially when you put them in around the team that we currently have, Liverpool is just going to be a totally different animal, aren't they, next year? And it's a player like this, you know, I mentioned it on the show the other night. He'd be a bastard to play against because he's kicking and everything. He's tenacious. He's got a bit of fight about him. Because I thought at times last year, look, regardless, we won the league and all that stuff, but I thought sometimes we were a bit nice. This kid changes that whole fucking persona straight away. Just him on his own. Never mind what else goes in there.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the transfer business we've done so far, Frimpong at right back, Verts in the door, Kerkez to come in today. You take Verts out of that equation. Kerkez is the most important signing this summer for me. We're crying out for not crying out for a left back, but a left back's been high priority for this season. I think. Obviously, Kostas is not the quality you'd want him to be at the level to play it as a starter for us. Robertson's sort of on his way out a little bit, although what a servant he's been for the club. But getting a top left back to come into this football club after Robertson, listen, it's going to be hard to replace Robertson as it is, and to get someone who, for me, is potentially the best young left back in world football at 21 years of age, plays in the Premier. He played for Bournemouth. We see what he did for Bournemouth last season. He's passing, he's crossing, he's all-round energy of the game. There was one incident last season where he looked like he was dead out on his feet, and then all of a sudden just run the whole length of the pitch and he scored. So it's going to be very interesting to see the way we set up next season. Obviously, the two fullbacks are attacking. But make no mistake about it, apart from Wirtz, this is the signing we needed to make this summer, and we've got him in the door and it ain't even July yet. Three top signings. It's 10 out of 10 already. Like, whatever you bring in on top now is just a bonus. I know everyone's saying we need an attacker and stuff like that. Whatever we do now is just a bonus on top, and it's going to take it. Next season, it's going to be very, very good for us.
Yeah, look, I'm really excited because you could just see a totally different animal being put together on top of what we've got. Because let's face it, players that are leaving the club, it was time for a lot of them. Do you know what I mean? I know we've had the chat with regards to some of the players. You look for it as Harvey Elliott, him in particular. He needs a move. Do you know what I mean? He does. He's too good to just be sat around. And with the World Cup on the horizon, he's got serious quality. So players like him, you can understand why it's time for them to find the move. But I'm just going to go through some of the comments. Mustafa, is the announcement today? Yes, we believe it is. So probably keep an eye out for 7 o'clock in the next hour. Matt, good friend of the show, Andy's class on the pod, by the way, speaks well. Well, that's why he's here. At least you're getting a very happy Andy. I've seen him fucking very angry over the years. That's a total different beast. Exactly like to say, Kerkez the most important signing this summer. That was the correct move, 100%. Mustafa, we've just had the chat. Hopefully 7 o'clock. Big up to Jen as well. Right. Andy, a question to you now, and I'm going to pose it to Rick after you. I keep getting asked this on maybe DMs on Twitter. Probably people, see that I've got a little bit of a following on there, and ask about transfer stuff for the people I speak to on there, and we have this chat all the time. But a name that keeps coming up. There was a lad that was talking about. I think he wrote for the Sun newspaper. Not that we want to talk about that shit for, but he's talking about Konate with the talks stalling. People have got mixed reviews on where you see it going. But honestly, because we haven't had the chat really about Konate with yourself, what is your take on it, and do you see him signing a deal?
I think one thing I'm going to take into consideration with anything that's ever been solid is Konate himself. And who's that laughing at me? Is basically Konate himself, where he's come out and said a couple of weeks ago, don't believe everything you read in the press. So I'm just going to go with that, mate. I'm just going to go with, I think talks are still ongoing. They're going to meet in the middle somewhere. He's already done a post on Instagram after the Nations League with France, and he said he's looking forward to next season for Liverpool to go again. So that indicates to me that he will be a Liverpool player next year. And I'm hoping that we could get a deal across the line with him. Because listen, we've had many chats, Ben, about Konate. Sometimes I think he's got some really weird traits in his game. It reminds me a little bit of what Mamadou Sakho used to do. Just had some crazy like defensive flaws to his game. But then there's times he looks like an absolute world beater. And then we've got to remember one thing with him as well. He's still young, isn't he, really, Konate? Was he now 24? 24, 25. So, you'd like to think that he's still got a lot of improvement in his game. And Arne Slot and his coaching staff are going to improve him as well. I'd obviously like to see him sign, but I'm just going to go back to your question. What do I think? I think I'm just going to listen to what he said. Don't believe everything you read in the press. because a lot of rubbish has been written. Nobody really knows what's going on. I personally think they're having still having talks with the club, and the club want to keep him on.
Yeah, look, you've got to remember, I think it's been proved recently that Liverpool are the most engaged team on social media with regards to driving up clicks and what have you. The interactions is massive. You look, for instance, tonight when Kerkez gets announced soon, which seems to be the case, that'll probably have more engagements than what City have been fucking announcing, and they announced all this shit the other week. Do you know what I mean? That's how popular Liverpool are. So even if you get idiot journalists that want to write shite, to them it's money. Do you know what I mean? Over the course of the transfer stuff recently, where people were going on about fucking Romano repeating stories, but he's making money off his account. He's an independent person putting it out there. So, these people will do what they've got to do to drive things up. But Rick, with regards to it, people keep discussing about the wages, 200 grand a week. And we've had this chat the other night, I believe. I think it was.
Yeah.
But 200 grand a week is the rumoured number. Personally, for me, I don't believe that's the issue. And I don't think the club do as well. You look at what is out there. Konate is better than a lot of the centre-halves. And the Gabriels, the Salibas, we class them as a good opposition centre-halves, etc. They're on that sort of money. Do you know what I mean? So what's your take on it? I know you said the other day you think he goes.
Yeah.
Is there anything changed from your opinion?
No, I still think he goes for free. In next summer, I don't think it's the wages. It's not. There's something else there.
Liverpool have proved wages aren't an issue for them.
I mean, whether you think he may be asking for the captaincy when Van Dijk goes, maybe something else, but it's definitely not the wages that are holding this deal up. Something's not right. Something's gone on between someone behind the scenes. But I do think, listen, we've seen Liverpool are not scared to let someone go for free. Emre Can, Henderson, Wijnaldum, Bobby Firmino. I know some of them, but they're back into their careers and not obviously got the value. But I'd rather win the league and the Champions League next season knowing Konate's at centre half with Van Dijk than selling him for 10 to 15 mil this summer, because you ain't going to get what you think he's worth because he's got 1 year left. So I think FSU will just let him go for free next summer. And then we move on from there. But I'd like to see Konate stay this summer, and I think he will stay this summer. And if you bring Guy in from Palace, there's that alternative to step up next to Van Dijk. It's going to be interesting if we bring them two in. That's two top level football players that can play next to Van Dijk next season. So if you bring one out of the team, you ain't going to go missing. I think the drop off between Konate and Kwanzaa was a little bit of a gap in terms of quality. And I don't think you'll see that if it's Guy and Konate next to Van Dijk. But there is another name out there that I do hope we sign. Andy, and in the group as well, Andy said the same thing. That Hato kid looks an unbelievable talent. Hopefully it could be him. But yeah,
can I just look on the Hato thing, because you've just brought it up. See, he's a good player whereby he could become the new utility man at the back.
But you could get rid of Costas as well this summer. You can get rid of Costas.
He may be viewed as that type of shit.
Yeah.
And I know we've had it in our chats and stuff with regards to it's hard to have two young left backs. Do you know what I mean? Because one is preventing the other. But then you've got that many games with the centre halves that he could be viewed as the fourth centre half and backup left back.
Van Dijk's 34. You're not expecting him to play over 60 games again this season.
This is why Gay's a massive signing for Liverpool.
Yeah,
he's ready now.
Yeah, and that Hato can come in and play games as well, cup games, rotate with Kerkez at left back, because he plays left back for Ajax. He's been playing centre half at the end of 21 Euros this summer for Holland.
Yeah,
I just want to say quickly on Hato. I think one of the biggest things in football now is how well these youngsters are coming into big teams and doing really well. So, for example, in the Premier League, Miles Lewis-Skelly at Arsenal.
He was fucking brilliant last year.
Yeah, 17, 18 years old, he's playing ahead of Calafiori. I know Calafiori was injured quite a bit, but, it looked like that. It looked like Arteta had him ahead of Calafiori in lots of big games.
Yeah, he's not even a left back either. He's a centre midfielder.
That's what I'm saying. And I think with Hato, you hit it on the nail there, Ben, because he's so versatile. He could be a perfect signing for Liverpool. He could fill in the Carabao Cup games as a left back when you want to rest players. He could come in as a centre back. Look at Lenny Yoro at Manchester United. I know that when he first came, he really struggled. But let's be honest, he's playing in an absolute shite football team. But he actually looked like one of their best centre halves by the end of the season, and he's only 18, 19 years old. So I don't think age is a number anymore like that. With the amount of top young players that play.
You're old enough, aren't you?
Exactly, and I think Hato would be it'd be a clever signing. I think that's one to watch out for towards the end. Well. I think when we talk about this sort of towards the end of the show, his name will pop up, but he's definitely one I think could pop up at the end of the window for us with an opportunity to bring him in.
Delwood's put up the talks about Murillo, but I'll go back to that towards the end, Delwood, with regards to some of the other names. Mark saying Hato isn't ready, and he's talking about stifling his development, but I think if he's utilised across a left back and a centre half position, maybe he's seen as a bit of an asset. Just a question for you boys: Rick, I'll go to you first. Could you see Liverpool getting 2 defenders?
Only if it's Hato. If Guayi comes in, only if it's Hato or the other one. I don't think they look for one position. I think the hybrid left back, centre back to do that.
Andy, just before we move on to a number 9 who's currently at the football club, I want to get, because we've had the chat already the other night on Sunday with regards to Mark Gay. I'm a big fan of him. I know we've had chats before, but obviously the viewers haven't got your opinion on it. He's a player that Liverpool have to get over the line, isn't he?
Yeah, really good player. I know. Speaking to a few of the lads, that we were really interested in him last summer, weren't we? And we couldn't get it over the line then. I don't know what happened, but it's obvious that we've gone back in for him this summer. I think really highly rated. Yeah, I think he's an excellent defender, mate. Brilliant for Palace. Every time I watch Palace him in the team, they're quite a solid side. And he's at the heart of everything. He's brilliant on the ball, brilliant at bringing the ball forward. And ground duels, he's outstanding. 1v1 defending. He's not the tallest, but he's quite aggressive. And there's a reason why we want him in it, Ben. At the end of the day, there's a reason why we've been interested in 2 summers in a row now. And I hope we get it over the line, to be honest. I don't buy all this media talk about, he wants to be guaranteed football and stuff like that. Listen, you're joining the champions. You're joining a top club in England. You've got to fight for your position. And I'm pretty sure he's a guy that doesn't look at it as, I want to play games at Liverpool. I can't see him being that sort of character. I think
he's definitely not that character, is he?
Yeah,
not like that.
No, he's definitely not that character. So, yeah, I hope we do get him over the line. In answer to, will we get 2 defenders? I sort of agree with Rick. I think we'll get a Mark Gay in, and if it's going to be another defender, it's going to be a young, upcoming player like Hato that can fill in positions. A little bit like a Joe Gomez type when he first came into the football club.
Yeah, the young lad coming in, yeah.
Like Joe Gomez has played everywhere, mate. He's right back, right centre back, left centre back, left back.
Played the end, didn't he, in the cup?
Yeah,
the goal is coming.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So, Hato, I see what Mark says there in the comments. He's not ready yet, but I think it'll be a missed opportunity if there's a chance to get him now, because if we don't, then someone else will go in and snap him up.
Oh, he'll be gone. He'll be gone. You could see he's the type of player that Arsenal would consider. They like that young player coming through. Look, they've got quite a few young players who are starting to get games now. But Rick, just a quick one, your take again on Gay. How important is he to get over the line for Liverpool? Because I think now Liverpool with the news coming out, it looks like he's now ready for the move, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the list of centre-backs that are out there in a minute, there's not that many that level, international player, captain of the club that he's at now. Like I said, he won their first major trophy as captain in their history. So yeah, for me, it's a no-brainer. The price has to be right though, because he's got a year left. I think if you're getting close to 50 above that, I think you need to maybe wait it out a year. But if the price is right, go get him. Listen, like I said, the difference between Konate and Guy won't be that massive. So it'll be like you're not missing anyone if one of them's not in the game.
Yeah, I'll just go through some of the comments here. Luke Bland saying Arsenal, Chelsea, Tracker hat.
Yeah, apparently his agent was in London this week.
Wouldn't surprise me because as it stands, it looks like Liverpool have got their eyes on another target in Mark Gay. But look, if Liverpool knock on the door, he's only going to one place, in my opinion. I think that'll be the case now for a lot of the targets. With Liverpool get on the phone, such an attractive proposition now. The players just can't say no to them. Do you know what I mean? You've seen it, we've seen it, and all of the viewers have as well. Any link with Liverpool attached to a player, all it comes out is saying they only want to play for Liverpool. Kerkez must have had fucking all sorts wanting him to go to their teams. It's the same. We know about the teams linked with him. And as I said earlier on in the show, Man City's two top targets were Kerkez and Wirtz, and they wouldn't even be asked to speak to fucking City properly in the end. Do you know what I mean? So that shows you how strong Liverpool are regarded in the market at the minute, as they are anyway, but certainly coming off the back of winning a title. But look, there's 74 in the chat. If you haven't already, smash the like and subscribe so we could get the channel out there more and do more content for you. Ali saying, Heitiger will have a word with them at Ajax. Mark saying, hasn't Hato said he's staying at Ajax or has changed in weeks? I think it's probably changed, lad, with the calibre of teams coming in. Ali saying, even Isaac, but we'll go on to him in a bit. Don't worry about it. Andy, just a quick name here, because we haven't had your thoughts on it. What do you think Bastoni would cost Liverpool? Because he is a player that they do like.
Bastoni? He's my dream, man. He's my dream. I don't know. I'm not sure what his contract situation is. I'm not sure if he's coming to the end of his contract. I'd say 50, 60 million, I would imagine, getting Bastoni. Again, someone needs to obviously come up on the chat and see how long is left on his deal. But I'd imagine if he's got 1 or 2 years left on his deal, then it'll be around 50, 60 million. I'd love to get Bastoni, Ben. I've been ranting about him for a few years. I actually think he's the perfect player to come in eventually and take over Verge. And he's a proper Italian defender as well, isn't he? So
body on the line job, mate, not giving up. But yeah, like Lewis Steele's talking about Gay there, said he wouldn't mind the switch to Liverpool. I'm sure he fucking wouldn't, mate. Half the players now would pay to fucking play for Liverpool. Right then, Rick, let's start it off with you, because this is a good topic here. You were a big fan of Darwin. Andy, you had the doubt early on with Darwin. We had our private chats, Darwin Nunez then, Rick. It looks like to Napoli is a goer. What's your thoughts on the Darwin thing? For me, it is a bit of a shame it just hasn't worked out. Ultimately, you've just got to realise that sometimes the shake can weigh certain players down. The expectations are massive, and certainly being Liverpool's number 9. But do you think it's a good move for them, Napoli?
Yeah, I mean, the amount of times me and you were going back and forth on WhatsApp trying to defend him at certain stages. I mean, there was only so much as how long you can defend the guy. I mean, we were always going to take a loss on him unless them Saudis come in. So Napoli apparently they've started talks today with Liverpool, concrete talks after getting a green light from Nunez. I think you get anything above 40 million, you're laughing. I'd try and push it towards 50 with add-ons. Can't see an Italian team having the funds for it. Obviously, because they got shafted for, I'm not even going to try and butcher his name, the guy that went to PSG in January. They barely got any money up front for that. Yeah, they barely got any money up front for that deal. So it depends what they've got. They're also looking at Chiesa, but I think Nunez is their main guy. And if they... I'm scared to see what they're going to bid. I'm waiting for that first offer to come in. They'll probably offer you like 15 mil on a packet of Haribos for him. But I think it's a good move. I think but as soon as he goes, Liverpool will move. They won't sell him and sit on it. As soon as he's gone and the money's in that bank, they will move for someone. So hopefully this week we'll see a bit of movement on. Well, obviously the teams are talking. Hopefully a bid comes in and then a bit of negotiation here and there. Listen, we don't need to worry about what prices we get. We've got Richard Hughes and Edwards. I mean, you got 3 mil from Nat Phillips. Yeah. So they're getting money for players. There's talk about money for what they could get for Elliott, for the Kwanzaa deal, they got 35 million. They got a buyback of an extra 20 million on top if we want him eventually. But yeah, I've got full trust in these. Listen, I was the first one to rip Richard Hughes to you, Ben, last season in the WhatsApp, like going in on the geezer. But fair play to him. I mean, yeah, fair play to him. He's going to get it done. So let's go, man. Let's get the money and move on to who we want.
And with regards to the Darwin signing, it looked like Liverpool bought it off the back of a good game. 2 good games against Liverpool. Obviously, he's obviously got some talent. It's not like he's shit. I think he'll do half all right when he leaves Liverpool. Why don't you think it's worked out? Because it's hard one to get round your head, isn't it?
I just don't think he's good enough, Ben. That's why. I just don't think he's good enough for Liverpool Football Club. I remember we had discussions, me, you, Marks, a few of the lads, when we first bought him, and I was sort of doubting his technical ability for starters. He had fantastic games against us, don't get me wrong. I mean, I think he scored I think he scored about 14 goals against us, didn't he? But 11, 12 of them were offside, and that just sums him up in Liverpool. I mean, every time the ball goes forward to Darwin, you don't look at the route to goal. You look at the linesman straight away, waiting for his flag to go up, because I just find him brainless at times. And that's not being rude or anything. I just don't think he's good enough to be a Liverpool number 9. You look at our number 9s in the past, mate. He's way down the list of the number 9s that have played at this football club. He's nowhere near. And to get 50 million for him, mate, I think it will be around, 47 to 50 million quid, whatever Napoli are going to bid for him. But, I think he'll do well, like you said, in Napoli, in that sort of league. Another Uruguayan played there in Cavani. So, I'm sure the fans will give him a chance. We gave him a chance. We gave every chance. Every time Nunez scored, we were like, right, maybe this is it. Maybe this is it. Maybe this is where he becomes the Liverpool number 9 that we all hoped for. He's got, so much passion, but, I just think mentally he wasn't there for us. The shirt weighed heavily on him, especially, being our number 9 and, someone that we're looking at relying on scoring our goals for us. And it just hasn't happened, mate. I mean, I've spoke to you loads of times, mate. It just used to annoy me when he used to win a throw-in. He used to win a throw-in by our penalty area, and people were like shouting his name. No, shout his name when he scores a goal, not when he's winning us a throw-in by our penalty area. Or it just used to wind me up after a while. He's never been good enough, and you said it there. We signed him on the back of 2 or 3 games. We've done the same with Minamino. When he had a great game against us, although I love Taki, and that just shows me where our recruitment went a bit wrong, if I'm being honest, mate. The plan for it wasn't really there, was it?
No, it was the eye test he went with as opposed to the data.
Yeah, and I just don't, for the life of me, believe that Edwards and Hughes would have signed a player like Darwin Nunez if they were at the club.
I will say this though: if Kevin De Bruyne can't fix Darwin Nunez in front of goal next season at Napoli, you might as well call it a day. Yeah,
but Rick, we set him up so many times.
Yeah,
We set him how many times? I mean, I look back to the game that I felt cost us the league was the Palace game at home, and even before that he was missing. But that Palace game at home, he had 3. He was in the 6-yard box 3 times, mate.
Got sent off.
No. The game last season when was 4 games to go, when we sort of the title had ended for us.
Yeah.
But that's where I look at a proper number 9 Liverpool. He's scoring them chances. We're going on to win that game, and then you never know what could have happened. Klopp could have won the title with 3 or 4 games to go. But that's the game when you look at it and you think, nah, mate, you ain't got it. You're in the 6-yard box. All you need to do is just side foot it in. Down the middle. And he's just smashing it straight at the goalkeeper. And that shows you a player who's mentally not elite. And he's not elite.
His pace went because he's just lost the motivation to work towards the end for the team, didn't he? Like he just said here, it's true. His role ended up being the first line of defence. His work rate was there, but just not enough if he couldn't link up. The thing with Darwin, it was enjoyable watching him the first 2 years, but in the last season, I'd had enough of him, to be honest, truthful. Because I go a lot of the games, as you boys know, and after a while, there's only so many of them misses you can take, and the manager had enough by then. Do you know what I mean? Halfway through the season, he couldn't be relied on, and it's really difficult to put your finger on it. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it just wasn't good enough. And I think when you look at a forward, right, striker through the ball, he fucking hit the ball from underneath it. No wonder the fucking there's that many balls on top of the cop. Do you know what I mean? They're all fucking miss.
Do you know what, Ben? You're spot on. Like last year, at the first 2 years, you could see he's trying to make an impact.
Yeah.
But last year, whenever he was coming on, it was like we were going down to 10 men. He was just like not even. He might as well have not been on the pitch.
Yeah, like he had some great games. So I mean, I remember the game before the season before last week. Klopp was there. He was brilliant with Salah at the derby at Anfield. I was there that day, and he was superb. Do you know what I mean? He caused them fucking many issues. He scored some massive goals, but I just don't know how he couldn't build on it. If anything, he started going fucking worse. He was just in and out of form, and towards the end, I think he'd just give up. To be honest, mate, I think he'd just give up. He didn't even want to come on. Do you know what I mean? And it's sad to see him go, pardon me, but ultimately football doesn't wait for anyone, and the sooner he's gone, the better for him. Do you know what I mean? And I think with regards to how the deal's currently going with Napoli, like we've spoke of just there, Saudi was the preferred sale for the club, obviously for money. But at the end of the day, I think Liverpool are just happy to go with the club that he now wants instead of fucking waiting, because it's probably the best offer they're going to get right now, isn't it, in Europe? And he's the perfect type of forward for them. The only other clubs that I could see him really working at would be like an Atletico, an AC Milan type, like that type of signing, but they're not going to do it. So may as well just try the best possible route of getting the best deal out of Napoli and just cut losses, because ultimately you end up getting stuck with players if you end up being too fucking greedy. And I think that's what the club done over the last couple of years, didn't they, on some of them youngsters, hung on to them and then ended up couldn't get fucking rid of them. Yeah. But anyway, look, the next thing that we're going to move on, right? And I'm going to go to you first, Rick. What happens next in the window? So look, Kerkez is going to be announced. Could be 7 o'clock, could be 8 o'clock, but it is going to be today. What do you think happens now? Because it looks like this is phase 1 of the transfer window complete for Liverpool. They're now moving into phase 2. What do you see happening? And if there's any names you want to talk about, throw them in there. Give us your idea, because we all want to hear.
Yeah, I think obviously you've got the 3 coming. You'll have Darwin going out. You'll have a few outgoings. Elliot, Nunez, Chiesa. They'll be the 3 that go for now. But I also think the incomings next will be worked on together. I think they'll do Guai and a striker together, like they did. Listen, they done Wirtz and Kerkez together, so I can't see why we work on that 2 deals. I think the back end of this week and next week is crucial for the Isak news, because there's rumours that he's meeting Newcastle Thursday on the view of coming back next. I think it's next week they come back for pre-season, early July. So there's rumours that he's meeting on Thursday before he comes back for pre-season. Where's that? And also on the Isak thing, where's that new contract? We finished the league over a month ago. Where's that new contract that you're promising? And like someone reported last night, I don't know who it was that come out last night with a report on Isak. If he's valued at 150 to 200 million by Newcastle, why is he sitting on what wages the same as Kieran Trippier? Why is he sitting on the same wages as Harvey Barnes? Like, if he's worth that to you, why is he not sitting on the big boy dough in the Premier League? And for me, I don't think Newcastle can afford to pay him that. Forget they're owned by the richest owners in the world. They can't spend that money.
Yeah,
Man City got away with it very early. They come in at a time where there weren't really no rules around it. You could spend what you wanted to spend. They did it early doors. Newcastle can't do that. And this whole talk about Newcastle are not worried about PSR, they are. Regardless of getting Champions League football, they are. Yeah. And Elanga for 45 million got rejected this afternoon, has come out by Ornstein. They're looking at Joel Pedro. They're looking at Adeyemi from Dortmund. They're looking at signing a goalkeeper. Where are you getting your money from? because you ain't got big boy money to spend this summer. So I think that they're potentially spending the Isak money on three strikers in Elanga, Pedro, and maybe Adeyemi, or they're looking at a striker. They could be linked to Ekitike. Maybe that's one why Liverpool haven't moved on him yet, because if there's a chance to get an Isak, we're maybe going to give Newcastle a run at Ekitike, possibly like that. I think it's going to happen. I think he goes to Newcastle and say, listen, I'm 26 this September. I've potentially got one big move in me.
Well, that's it, isn't it? He only has one big move.
Because we know what Liverpool are like. Liverpool get to a certain age of a player and they tend to stay away from it, because Liverpool sign players where there's a resale value. That's how we've always operated under FSG. By the Thiago deal, everyone we've signed has a resale value. Isak will not have a resale value after someone buys him now. It just won't happen.
Yeah, this is it. He's got a decision to make. But obviously, before we go in depth of Isak, because we could fucking just do a show on him.
Mate, we're gonna do it
just for after this bit. But Andy, with regards to what happens next, I know everyone wants the Isak talk, but what do you see happening over the next couple of weeks for Liverpool? Bit of a reset, I kind of think.
Yeah, I mean, listen, when Kerkez is announced later on, I think that'll be the end of sort of, we've been calling it phase by phase. Phase one of getting these guys in. The next phase now, I've always believed, is going to be all about sales, what we're going to get for people, how much money we're going to bring in. Currently, it stands at £63 million we've bought in so far with who's gone, with Trent, Surfy, Kwanzaa, Queef Kelleher, and who else? I think it comes to about 63, and we've hardly touched the surface of who we're going to sell yet. You're going to have the Darwin money coming in. Harvey Elliott, I suspect, is going. So I think that's going to be phase two of the window now. Getting rid of the players that Arne's going to. I think he said he's going to speak to a few players as well when they get back into pre-season, and speak to them where he's at with them and where they're at with him. I mean, he's already said, in the press conference before the end of the season, that there might be players that still want to be part of the squad, and he might look at them as being as good squad players, so there's going to be some talks, obviously, when pre-season starts. I think there's going to be a pause now with players coming in, Ben, in my personal opinion. I think all we're going to be hearing now after the Kerkez announcement is he's gone. There'll be
loads of deals on the fringe of it that people don't know about.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've sat there and worked it out a little bit. We could bring in over £200 million worth of sales, and that is not even including players like Diaz might be sold as well. If Diaz is sold, we could be fetching more than 250, 260. So that's where the club's going to be at now. And then as soon as that's done, mate, I think we'll move in for certain targets. You know my feeling on Isak. I listen. I think,
do it again.
No, listen. I just think he will be the icing on top of what's been a phenomenal window so far. Rick said it. I've said it a few times. The three that have come in now, that's a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 window for me. And if anything else is a bonus. I can't see Isak, although I want to believe you, Ben, because you told me we'll sign in Florian, and I was like, shut up, you're an idiot, stop talking to me about it. And he came. So, I'll go with, who knows what could happen with him. I'm still more leaning towards an Ekitike coming in rather than Isak, but only if we can get his price down, because there's not a chance Liverpool pay 90 million quid for Hugo Ekitike. He's 21 years old. He's not proven, so if we can get that price down to maybe 50, 60, you never know. Liverpool might be willing to do business, because I think Ekitike's got huge potential. I actually look at him and I see a little bit of Isak in him as well.
Like a similar name as well, isn't he?
Yeah, so, if they can get that price down, maybe that's the guy they'll go for. because we all know here that Isak's going to be a difficult signing to get in the door. Newcastle will make it doubly hard for us to get in.
Do you not think it's telling though that no Liverpool journos shut it down yet?
Yeah, because it's there. Because it's been proven that Liverpool are interested in him. So, but interest doesn't mean that it happens at the end of the day. So, I think we've got to see what numbers we bring in with the players that are going to leave, and then we assess, the guys that are going to come in. I personally think it's going to be a centre back and a striker coming in. But don't ask me who.
John Henry's got his big boy pants on this summer. I'm telling you that he'll go to Newcastle, slap 100 mil on the table, and Newcastle ain't going to be able to turn it down.
They will turn 100 million down.
No, it'd be 100 mil on the table, but there'll be add-ons. Listen, would you slap Jota on the deal?
I would, yeah.
100 mil on Jota on the table. Newcastle won't turn that down.
I still don't think they'd take that.
No?
No, I don't, because he's a totally different age to him as well. But look, let's go round into it. Fuck it, let's go. Isak or Ekitike. He's not even fucking updated yet. Here we go. Look, this is the one that we've just kind of got into it, but we'll go into it properly now. If you haven't already, smash the like, subscribe. There's 108 watching. Do us a favour and hit the like and subscribe for us. Right then, look, my take is on this one is that there needs to be a few moving parts. I wouldn't be looking so much at Liverpool right now. I'd be looking at them to see what they start doing. If they start doing serious deals, then they're spending money before they sell a player, which you would. Do you know what I mean? You see that sort of shit happening in the market because, let's face it, if Liverpool bought Isak, let's go with the 150 mil. They've got a difficult task at buying players then because everyone just goes up 15, 20 minutes. I see the comments in here, like why the journalists not ruling it out. And people keep saying it's not happening. There's zero chance. Well, there obviously is a chance. It's slim. But people want to just see Liverpool just fucking go buy Ekitike and then find out that Isak could have went? Or would you rather Liverpool hang in there with a 1% chance and go for it? And I think that's what they're going to do, like we've just discussed there, boys. Pardon me, got a sore throat. But Liverpool have done the right thing. I think they've scrambled to get these deals quickly over the line. They'll sort that Marquee one. People keep saying it'll drag on. I don't see how it drags on. I really don't. I think soon deals will be met with Palace, and then Liverpool will have one target on that Newcastle thing. Like we've mentioned on this podcast a few times, my opinion's always been the same. I forgot what I was going to say then. No, my opinion's always been the same now. It's a bit of a chess game going on. I think Liverpool will also have an eye on Arsenal, what they're doing. There's a bit of a domino effect that probably happens in the number 9 market. And as soon as Arsenal spend money, Liverpool will feel a bit more in a powerful position because once they spend money, then they're not going to be going anywhere near for Isak. So that loosens the strength a notch for Newcastle. And like we were saying, Rick, which is a good point. He's 27 next year. His options will be limited. You go through the top teams in Europe. As of right now, there's only 2 that can get him. Arsenal or Liverpool. Now, I'm not saying he's going to Arsenal, but City have got Ireland. Real Madrid have got Mbappe. Fucking Barcelona have still got Lewandowski there. Bayern Munich have got Harry Kane there. Your options are limited. He's not really going to go many other teams aside from them that I've just named. So, what happens when Arsenal buy a Sesko or a Gyökeres? I'm unsure which one they'll get. Leaves Liverpool the only destination. So, did they want to currently have a player that probably is going to say to them he wants to go, which probably hasn't happened yet because he's going to be on his trip, isn't he? As soon as he gets back in a week or so, then the conversation and the mood starts changing. That's when you start looking at Newcastle. You'll start getting a vibe about the Isak camp because, look, I'm sure there's fucking Newcastle fans. I don't know if any watch this, but, they're going to start going, where's this contract? Because this chat's not dying down. It was the same with us, with Coutinho, weren't it, boys? You remember? We were probably the biased ones, as I'm sure a load were going, he ain't fucking going. But deep down, we knew the mood was changing. Phil's persona starts changing. You will be able to tell during the pre-season where his head's definitely at, 100%. And, it's going to be very interesting. And, Liverpool may not get it, but they may as well have a fucking go. Rick, how do you genuinely think they'll get it done? if they do get it done? And if they don't, do you see the Ekitike one happening?
I just think Liverpool will play chess with them. I think Liverpool will put out to brief the journos about, I don't know, Ekitike or maybe a Sesko that we could potentially sign. And it'll sort of maybe put Isak in a position where he'd need to speak out to Newcastle. Because like you said, all these teams, Real Madrid, Mbappe, Lewandowski, Barcelona, Haaland, City, Kane at Bayern Munich, he's got to look at, if Liverpool and Arsenal go buy a striker, if Arsenal go buy Sesko or Gyökeres this summer before we buy anyone, he's then only got Liverpool on the table that he can get in their team. If Liverpool go sign Ekitike, where's Isak going? There is no one, because they've all signed young strikers. So he's stuck at Newcastle. With all respect in the world, Newcastle are not challenging for trophies this season. They might win the League Cup because certain teams might not take it serious. They're not winning the big boy trophies in any seasons upcoming. So if you're Isak, you're 26 this September. You're then 27, you're 28, you're 29, you're still at Newcastle. You're not winning anything. Newcastle are not going to pay him 300 grand a week because they can't. So if you're Isak, and apparently Isak's agent's quite close to Hughes, because of previous players that have gone to Bournemouth and whatnot like that. I just think Liverpool need to wait it out, like you said, see what Arsenal do. Because let's be honest, Arsenal are shitting themselves because they're looking at the market. They're signing Zubimendi. I'm seeing their fans today tell me Zubimendi is a signing of the window. I mean, fucking hell. I mean, the geezer's finally got the courage to leave his country and not look at the mountains no more over there, the shit ass. But I just think we go to Newcastle because Newcastle are not attracting top talent. They're still not attracting top talent. They're in the Champions League. They've been in the Champions League, not last season, the season before. They still can't seem to be linked to the big names. Elanga, and it just shows the state of football if Elanga's turning down 45 million for Elanga. I mean, in the shit show.
60 million.
Yeah. I mean, 60 million, then everyone will be telling me Verts' price is about right because of the likes of Elanga going for 60 mil. But I just think Newcastle, I think there's a deal to be done. Liverpool just need to go to Newcastle. Let's do a deal. Tell us what you think he's worth. We'll tell you what we think he's worth. And even if you just have to throw a couple players in there, I mean, the likes of Jota, they need a right winger. How about Chuck Ben Doak in there for him? And I see Mark saying there Liverpool won't slap 100 mil on the table. We haven't paid 100 mil for Florian Wirtz up front. It's not 100 mil straight. It's 100 mil guaranteed. It's not all up front. So Liverpool have to admit, like I said to you boys in the group, Liverpool could spend 300 million this summer and not get touched by PSR.
Yeah, that's a discussion we were having up here.
So we have money to spend. And like the local journals are coming out and saying, Liverpool ain't fazed by the fee for Isak. They're not bothered. They just want to know what the price is to then start negotiating. They're not scared. Liverpool this summer, I mean, listen, we've been crying out for it for years. Liverpool to start acting like the big boy club it is after winning the Premier League. And we've blown this summer out of the water. Let's just go get the icing on the cake. Go get the striker we want. We get Isak, it's game over.
Yeah, no, it is as simple as that. It's like we look at some of the other signings the clubs have made. You know, for instance, Arsenal, they'd need to sign an Isak right now to be anywhere near Liverpool. Need
3 forwards and they've signed a DM.
And a keeper. Well, is it even done? And just a quick one, a name that's covered here from Jen. Osimhen. Now, I'm guessing this is regards to Osimhen and Ekitike. What's your take on that? Because I personally don't believe there's anything legit in the Osimhen to Liverpool. What's your thoughts on them two?
Yeah, I'm with you as well. I'm not a massive fan of Osimhen. I know he's a good player and stuff. I just don't think he's got the right attitude or temperament, if I'm being honest. Bouncing around clubs, trying to get deals. You know, he flew over to Turkey last year without permission. You know, I'm not really into these players, mate. I think they upset a changing room, if I'm being honest. You could be as good as you want, but if the attitude ain't right, there's one thing about this Liverpool team that it's got a good bunch of lads that are very close with each other. You know, they fight for each other. I don't see that with Osimhen, if I'm being honest. People might want to have a pop at me for saying that, but that's just my thoughts on him. And who's the other player? Sorry, Ben.
Ekitike. Do you think he'd be a good fit for Liverpool? Genuinely speaking,
I think he's a typical Edwards player project. Bringing him in, I think he's got huge potential, mate. You know, I've been speaking to you about him for ages, haven't I? He's got huge potential, mate. You know, he's fast. He's technically very good. You know, his finishing is not bad, but it will get better. He's 21 years old. That's what I said to you. I think I'm more edging towards, if we are going to bring in a 9, it'll be Ekitike rather than Isak, because I just think Newcastle are going to make it so difficult for us to get him, and I just don't think we want to hang about with it. But one thing I do agree with you lads is it is going to be some sort of domino effect happening at the club, and at clubs with strikers. You know, the 3 that we're sort of looking at are Gyökeres, Sesko, and Ekitike. Yeah. You know, where do they go? You know, what are Arsenal going to do? Because I'm surprised Arsenal haven't bought a striker yet. Maybe they've got a feeling they can get Isak. You just don't know. Yeah, you don't know. Isaac's got a lot of links to Arsenal as well with the Sociedad boys. Sorry, you know, Martin Odegaard. He's actually very good, close friends with Odegaard. You never know, mate. Arsenal could be hanging about thinking that deal could be done for them, because they were really the first link to him, weren't they, before us and Isak? So
if they're seeing links that Liverpool are in, they're going to go, "Ooh, what's going on there?"
Yeah, exactly. So you just don't know. You know, why have they not? You know, like they're looking at a team like Liverpool who've won the league, who've just gone and smashed 3 signings: Wirtz, Kerkez, and Frimpong. Why haven't they completed a signing yet for a striker? So that makes you think as well. What have they got planned? So it's going to be a very interesting couple of weeks with the striker thing. I think it's going to be like a domino effect, isn't it? But with Ekitike, Ben, I think he's got huge potential, mate. And I can see him being a typical, you know, one for the data nerds on where
he is that type of player. Yeah,
on what ceiling he's got.
Yeah, it's the fears that's the one that's puts me off. I know we've had the chat.
Yeah.
You speak highly of Ekitike, and look, don't get me wrong. From the things I've seen, he does look a good player. Big lads as well. He's a handful. But that fears, I just don't see Liverpool going anywhere near the ACs.
Not 90, no way, mate. No, not 90 million. There's no chance. I can't see anyone really paying 90 million for Ekitike, to be honest. You know, because teams are not going to be like Arsenal, for instance. You've said it a couple of times, and I think you said it on the show. Their next signing for a number 9 is going to have massive pressure on him. Massive pressure on him. Liverpool have won the league, so they're going to be, if they've signed a player like Ekitike, it's going to be like a project thing rather than, do you know what I mean? Because we've got the players that can score goals. Your Mo Salah's, you know, scores lots of goals. We've got Wirtz in the side now. Gakpo chips in with goals. Diaz chips in with goals. Arsenal need someone to come in there and be the main man straight away. So, you know, they're under pressure. Their next signing has got to be the right signing. Whereas with us, I think spending 90 million quid on someone like that, I just don't think we do it. And I can't see any team that are under pressure to bring in goals spending, you know, spending big on Ekitike at 90 million quid. I can't see it.
Yeah, do you know what? It's I think the thing is right now, you know, Ekitike's price sets the tone for Sesko. Sesko's price sets the tone for him. Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts. With one goes, they'll all fucking fall, won't they?
Yeah.
Because ultimately, you know, look, I think, you know, with people we've just been talking there about, Osman, he's probably one of the best price ones from what I get. The fact that no one's in for him says a lot. People need to just read the room a bit better. And so it's just say he had no Kerkez announcements. I was going to bring that up before, but as far as I'm aware, no journalists have had a briefing to say it's going to be coming out at, 7 o'clock. So I'd imagine it's going to be a little bit later. They're probably still doing the Zalfellas medical. But look, we will wrap it up because we are going to be back tomorrow. It was a good chat, that, boys. Andy, when will you next be on with us? When are you free?
I'll see if I can come on tomorrow. I'll check. No, I won't be able to tomorrow. My little man's got a game of football, so I won't be on. But I'll be on the next one, lads.
Yeah, perfect.
Definitely.
Perfect. Rick, thanks very much for us. Look, if you haven't already, smash the like and subscribe. We will be back tomorrow. What have we got lined up tomorrow, Rick? Have we sorted it out yet? Or
There's a potential we could do a full striker show. We could line it up.
We'll do that. Options. If you've got any interesting ideas, drop them in the chat. We'll get back to you. But I think tomorrow we'll go full blazing on a number 9 chat. So look, if you haven't already, smash the like and subscribe. Make sure you follow us on Twitter as well. That's our handles. And boys, we will be back tomorrow. Up the Reds.